$50 million for condoms in Gaza, for example.
Congresswoman.
No, but these are real things.
No.
You guys are rolling your eyes like as if these are not actual line items. These are actual line items.
We know that there was not $50 million spent for condoms in Gaza.
Okay.
There was $0 spent on condoms in the Middle East. That is a complete falsehood and a lie.
Folks, what I'm about to show you is as refreshing as it is sadly shocking. A very fed up CNN host brutally called out a MAGA Republican Congresswoman to her face for lying to the American people on air, and she even used the word lie. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we've got one long clip here. The entire segment is about 7 minutes long, and we're going to watch it because this moment truly builds up. The woman in question is MAGA Republican Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis. Now, this is a person who is effectively a MAGA Republican Congresswoman, even though she tries to present herself as kind of a normal, centrist, New York Republican. Unfortunately, in today's Republican Party, you either have proud MAGA or shy MAGA, and she's shy MAGA. And in her desperate attempt to cover for Donald Trump and Elon Musk, she perpetuates a lie, a very high-profile, viral lie that has been debunked relentlessly. And CNN host Abby Phillip at the end gets fed up, and she nukes Representative Malliotakis in a way I have just not seen from the vast majority of mainstream media. So we're going to play this clip and unpack it together along the way.
Congresswoman, you have the power. You have the power.
We budget for agencies.
Budget.
Yes.
You have the power to spend, to take away money. You have the power to structure agencies. You have the power to create, destroy agencies. You can actually do all of those things from Congress.
Yes, and if I could answer that question, what I would say is we do the budget. We allocate funding for specific agencies, for specific purposes. It is when we see these federal bureaucrats spending this money and making decisions on grants and loans and making decisions that are not within what we anticipate or was intended for. And that is why I thought it was appropriate for President Trump to pause some of these grants that were going out, because...
So, for context, this is in reference to Elon Musk effectively, unilaterally, shutting down USAID, which is basically the nexus of the United States dispensation of foreign assistance, all right? And by the way, there are some real-world consequences to this. I saw a report today where at least 300 babies in Africa now have HIV as a consequence of the funding being cut off by Elon Musk. That's just one random catastrophic consequence of this unelected MAGA billionaire moron meddling in places he shouldn't. And what's being called out, and Abby Phillip, you can see, is already irritated because she's like, you are a member of Congress. It's your power to create these agencies and to modify their funding, to allocate the funding, and to cut off funding if you think it's appropriate, not Elon Musk. And so you see, like, Nicole Malliotakis is trying to defend Trump while simultaneously propping up her own powerlessness. She's foisting her own power and making herself less relevant in order to sweep for Donald Trump and, by extension, Elon Musk.
They were going out for some ridiculous things. In Congress, by the way, Elon Musk's role is an advisory role.
Correct.
Let's be clear about that. He is not going to be we're going to be making that final determination as members of Congress.
I should also just say, Elon doesn't think that that's the case, because he's been saying pretty point blank, this is going away. We've gotten rid of this. We've gotten rid of that. And the money has stopped flowing.
Respectfully, Congresswoman, it was his aides who sent notices today to USAID saying, don't come to work. Mm-hmm. And I hear your point about cutting spending and everything. And look, I'm not going to die on a hill that says that these agencies don't have some frivolous spending that we need to rein in. But the fact is, do you know, sitting here today, that Elon Musk and his aides do not have access to my Social Security number? You don't know that. And that is troublesome, because as a member of Congress, you should know that. But what we do know is he went into Treasury. He locked people out. He fired individuals. And now Elon Musk and his aides, and this is not a partisan attack by any stretch. This is, look, I deserve to know where my information is and why someone who is unelected, we don't even know what his job title is.
So why is it?
So, and I should also say, we played this clip in a previous video today We have since learned, according to Democratic lawmakers, that that Elon Musk and his team of engineers do indeed have access to the American people's Social Security numbers. Probably do a separate video about that because that's a big bombshell news. Again, great points by Bakari Sellers, for which Representative Malliotakis has no credible answer. And if the shoe was on the other foot, if this were a Democratic administration and it had been a liberal billionaire donor like George Soros or Mark Cuban instead of Elon Musk, this same woman, Representative Malliotakis, would be shouting from the rooftops about how dangerous this is. And she'd be right. But it's also right to call it out here, and she won't.
That's an important question. Why is it, Scott, that Elon Musk claims that it is a crime to tweet out the names of the 6 individuals who I have to assume are government employees, maybe they're not, who are going around and carrying out his orders and telling people, for example, to not come into work at an entire federal agency, who are going into the Treasury asking for access to a sensitive payment system? How is it a crime to know who those people are?
I don't know if it's a crime or not. I think it's certainly untoward to try to because you're trying to sick an angry mob on people who are showing up to try to
first of all,
act on behalf of the President of the United States.
First of all, this is his platform, okay? If his own platform is an angry mob, that's one thing. But he also does this all the time. And these are people who are doing things that affect Americans. They're working in the government.
So again, great point. So again, Scott Jennings, smug MAGA stooge, the smuggest on mainstream media, and that includes Fox, is once again sweeping, bending his standards, grading Trump and Musk on a curve. So when Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and MAGA call out and name people, when libs of TikTok, for example, identify people by name and give sensitive information, Scott Jennings and the rest of MAGA cheer along. Hell yeah, own the libs. Name them if you have to. Let's cancel them. Let's harass them if we have to. But when Elon Musk allies are identified, and these are people who are, again, unelected, unappointed, unaccountable, intruding in the United States Treasury, or sensitive payments and sensitive payment information, including apparently our Social Security numbers, that is apparently a bridge too far. No, it's bullshit. You just don't like the fact that these people have been correctly identified, and you want a level of unaccountability you would never tolerate if the shoe was on the other foot.
I don't see why it needs to be a secret.
They're doing things that affect the bureaucracy, which is why you see all the rage today.
You don't think that this stuff affects Americans, Scott?
I mean, yeah, probably in a positive way. And I'm glad to see Democrats are coming around to the idea that the unelected people who might be involved in the running of our country are important, because you seem to have no interest in that for the last 4 years under the last administration. Here's the bottom line. You know what that means is that you had a president who was not functional, and you know it.
We're talking about Biden. Okay.
Actually, by that same token, I mean, if you're concerned about the people around Joe Biden running the government, why aren't you concerned about?
Because I don't have any concern that this president is functional. He's a functional president, and Musk is an agent of the president.
Why are you not concerned that Elon Musk is, according to a lot of reports, someone that no one around the president wants to even cross because he's so powerful, and he has leverage over this president because he spent $250 million to get him elected?
Look, the president was elected. He runs the government. Elon Musk is an agent of the executive branch at the direction of the president, and as the president said today, he's not doing anything that he doesn't have permission to do.
So a couple of things. Again, note the double standards. And Scott, number one, note the deflection. Well, I'm glad to see you all care about unelected bureaucrats. Okay, well, there's always a concern about unelected bureaucrats. Number two, your argument that President Biden was non-compos mentis, you have no evidence of that. Even if he was in a state of age-related cognitive decline, you have no evidence that it was a weekend at Bernie's situation. You're just hyping up that meme in order to try to justify what Donald Trump is doing here. You will always lose that debate. Number two. Number three, the people surrounding President Biden, like his chief of staff, that's a government position to which, a person was appointed. Senior staff appointed. The cabinet appointed with congressional approval, Senate approval in particular. Elon Musk is an unelected, unappointed, unaccountable MAGA billionaire. And again, you would be apoplectic, Scott Jennings, be it under Barack Obama, Joe Biden, or any Democratic president, if a liberal billionaire was given this level of power in a Democratic administration. You'd be shouting from the rooftops. But because you're an unprincipled, hypocritical loser who should be made fun of all the time, you have to bend your standards here. And again, watching this in real time, super pathetic.
And I will just remind you all, one of the things he was elected to do is to shake up Washington, stop doing business as usual, and rein in an out-of-control bureaucracy that, as the Congresswoman correctly pointed out, is spending money in ways that was never intended.
Three of your colleagues in the Senate, Senator Bill Cassidy, Jerry Moran, and Tom Tillis, they've raised some red flags over what's happening at USAID. Cassidy wants to know why clinics in Africa are not getting the drugs that USAID provides. Jerry Moran is wondering why there's American food rotting in ports of entry. And Tom Tillis says if you just shut down every program in there, I think it's a mistake and it will have policy and political consequences. But that's exactly what Elon Musk did. He shut USAID down.
Well, first of all, going back to the transparency, you have not had a more transparent president than President Donald Trump. Every executive order, every conversation he has with a world leader, there is a printout. It is on social media, and we are learning what's going on in real time.
When did he say that he's shutting down USAID, and tell us why he's doing it?
Well, first of all, USAID, and I sat on the Foreign Affairs Committee, and I've tried to expose this as a member on those committee hearings. I mean, we cannot get any accountability from this agency. We can't get any metrics from this agency. This is a real bureaucratic mess, the USAID. The money's being spent and shoveled to countries all over the world, countries that hate us, for programs that, I mean, you have countries where people are starving, and they're focusing on, DEI and transgender programming. It's ridiculous. I mean, eventually it becomes. This is the facts. These are facts. This is actually where money is going to.
What I'm saying, first of all,
but
I'm not denying. Listen, I don't know what specifically you're talking about, but I do know that there's a lot of money that does not go to any of those things. One of the programs Cassidy's talking about is PEPFAR. That is a Republican program.
Yeah,
that is a Republican
program. You found one good program.
Famine-stricken Sudan.
But here's the real point here. Congresswoman, you are elected to legislate.
Yes.
If you want to change where the money goes at PEPFAR, you have the power to do that. Why not do that in a transparent way so that the American people can see?
And that is what we are doing right now. That is exactly what we're doing. We're trying to put a pause on this funding going out the door so we can see exactly what it's being used for, because our intention when we appropriated this money is not being spent that way. And what I will say is you have these bureaucrats sitting at these agencies. They come before Congress. We have hearings. We try to get to the bottom of where this money is going. $50 million for condoms in Gaza, for example.
Congresswoman.
No, but these are real things.
No.
You guys are rolling your eyes like as if these are not actual line items. These are actual line items.
We know that there was not $50 million spent for condoms in Gaza.
Okay.
There was $0 spent on condoms in the Middle East. That is a complete falsehood and a lie.
So the White House put that out there as a
I'm not going to blame you for it. I'm going to blame.
Wasn't Gaza in the
I'm going to
Middle
blame
East.
the White House.
So
I'm going to
where did it
blame
go?
the
Where did it
president,
go?
Congresswoman. I'm going to blame the president who upped the dollar amount to $100 million. It is false. Okay?
Well, it's $50 million as far as I know.
It is false. There is zero. The answer is zero.
How is
There's
it?
not. So you cannot use that as an example.
So this is good, folks.
With Trump's
this
trade-
is good to see this sort of pushback from a CNN host for calling it not just a falsehood, but a lie. And it is a lie. Now, where I think Abby Phillip, unfortunately, neutered her own response was by absolving Congresswoman Malliotakis of agency. I'm not going to blame you. I'm going to blame Donald Trump. Well, no, they're both responsible. Nicole Malliotakis is an adult, and she chose to lie on behalf of Donald Trump to spread pro-Trump, pro-MAGA propaganda in order to sweep for the terrible things and potentially illegal things that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are doing. But it is a lie. We discussed this debunked lie about the 50 million condoms in previous videos. Republicans are still trying to run with it. As Abby Phillip noted, Trump actually magically and arbitrarily doubled the amount. It's not 50 million. It was 100 million. It was 0 million for condoms in Gaza. But they're running with the lie anyway. And when you have Republicans who are so shameless in doing that, CNN hosts, MSNBC hosts, Fox hosts, ABC News, anybody interviewing them who has a modicum of journalistic integrity should be calling it a lie, because that's precisely what it is. So hopefully we see more of that in the future. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.